On December 20th, 1998, at about 9:35 p.m., Orlando Bryant was shot to death with a .45 caliber firearm as he sat in the driver's seat of his truck parked on the street outside his house on Dwight Avenue in Compton. A neighbor who lived on the next block testified that he was inside his house when he heard 3 to 5 gunshots, one after another. Seeing nothing out the window, he walked toward Bryant's house, where he found Bryant slumped over in his truck. The witness saw Bryant's wife, Berlinda Green, on the porch screaming. Bucci's admissions: the murder was not initially solved and was eventually transferred to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Cold Case Unit. After Detectives Dean Camarillo and Gustavo Carrillo were assigned to investigate, they interviewed Bucci's longtime friend Anita Witherspoon, in August 2013. At trial, Witherspoon testified that she met Bucci about 19 years before trial. They were friends who throughout the years had an on-again, off-again sexual relationship. The sexual relationship was off in 1998 due to Bucci's relationships with other women. Still, he would visit with Witherspoon, discussing his children, his problems, and his relationships, including his relationship with the married Green, who lived nearby on Dwight Avenue. Bucci and Green's relationship was off while she was in custody, after pleading guilty to bankruptcy fraud and tax evasion in federal court. Sometimes Bucci would live with Green for a month or 2 at a time. In the early 2000s, after Bucci's wife died, his children lived with Green for a while. Witherspoon learned about Green's husband's death from Bucci's mother. She later asked Bucci if he had anything to do with it. When Bucci merely put his head down without replying, she told him, "You have messed up your whole life over a married bitch." He replied, "Yeah, I know," months later. In response to Witherspoon's question whether Green had any involvement in her husband's death, Bucci replied, "All the way up to her eyeballs," in her interview with the detectives. Witherspoon claimed that Bucci told her that Green was the mastermind and that money was the reason Green wanted her husband dead. Witherspoon testified that in another conversation with Bucci about whether anything could be traced back to him, he said, "Maybe on a bullet," and told her that the gun was on Atlantic Drive in Compton. Bucci said the shooter hung out at Kelly Park in Compton. Sometime later, Bucci told Witherspoon that Green was waiting to get money from her husband's insurance policy. Bucci also said he was in love with Green and had to be around her all the time. When Witherspoon spoke to Bucci after Green was interviewed in a news conference at the Compton courthouse regarding rewards for murders committed in Compton, Bucci said Green was a good actress.